On this edition of Lexington Now, traces and fragments at Ashland, the historic Lyric Theater, and keeping pets safe this winter. I'm Neil Noah, and welcome to Lexington Now for the week of February 19th, 2024. As Black History Month continues, Ashland, the Henry Clay Estate, adds to its exhibit exploring lives and contributions of the enslaved people that lived there. Here's more on Traces and Fragments.
We are out here this month celebrating Black History at Ashland. And this builds on our Traces tour, which we launched back in 2019. And we've developed a whole lot more information as time has gone by. And that's one of the most exciting things about this. And the exhibit that you see behind me, Traces and Fragments, documents how our curatorial staff has pieced together the history of the enslaved here at Ashland through farm records, personal correspondence, even newspaper advertising, and also archaeological artifacts. So, when we were doing the Traces tour, which is docent-led, people want to know, well, where did this all come from? And hopefully this exhibit begins to tell people where that came from, and the partnerships that we've had, like with the County Clerk's Office, as well as the UK's Commonwealth Institute for Black Studies. There's lots of different resources that we've called upon to build these stories for the public. And we're doing an open house on the 24th of February, which really launches sort of a Black History tour that's a little different from our Traces tour. This one explores the lives not only of the enslaved, but also the Black families that were employed post-emancipation by descendants of Henry Clay. So there's 5 generations of Clays that inhabited Ashland, and this new tour explores that full spectrum of history of how, for the most part, Ashland was populated by Black families, more so than the Clay family. So when you think about 125 enslaved people that were on this property during Henry Clay's lifetime and after, that's a lot of stories to be told, but even more stories are told with those who worked after emancipation. I think we wanted to reveal the complex history of during Henry Clay's legacy, his lifetime. That Henry Clay is noted for the great compromises that he crafted, but that dealt a lot with the growth of the nation. But in addition to that, it was also dealing with the issue of slavery. So we know that Henry Clay dealt with slavery on a political level as well as on a personal level because of all those that he had enslaved here at Ashland. So we feel like it's our responsibility to tell the complete history, to provide the total context in which people were enslaved here at Ashland, but also the fact that Henry Clay was a great statesman. But those people who cast bright light also cast a long shadow, and we're exploring both those sides of the Clay legacy. One of the things that we've really have focused on is more who they were as individuals and what they did in terms of their resistance or resilience as enslaved people. What they did on the property is sort of self-evident of the forced labor of the hemp crops and the livestock and taking care of the children and all these other tasks that they were compelled to do. But our goal is really to shed a light on the humanity of these people, like who they were as mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, because they did have life off the estate as well. This process is ongoing because of our partnerships with the County Clerk's Office and other entities. We're constantly finding more information, but we're hoping by having public programs like an open house tour and the regular Traces tour that provides an opening for people to bring us information from their own family history.
We formed this relationship through the project which I co-direct with Dr. Vanessa Holden, who is a part of the University of Kentucky. The project that we work on is the Digital Access Project, known as DAP. And within that project, we have digitized records of Fayette County from the late 1700s through 1865 and moving forward. But what's fascinating about these records is the sensitive information that we can find in these records, such as the institution of slavery here in Kentucky, especially in Fayette County. And what you can do, even like here at the Ashland Henry Clay Estate, we don't forget those names. We memorialize those names. We remember, we find ways to reconcile and what can heal, bring healing. Henry Clay was a great entrepreneur, a great compromiser, a great politician and lawyer, but he also had another side to his story that we also want to tell that narrative. But also we want to bring up the highlight that these records that we have, a lot of those records were prepared and executed by Henry Clay. It shows us the nature of law, that moving forward, why we file wills and mortgages and deeds and why they're worded a certain way. His brilliant expertise on how he prepared legal documents to unveil certain aspects of the law, but to also to cover up certain aspects of the law. We have those records at the county clerk's office. We have them digitized. Now you have access to them at your home on the internet. Whereas before you had to come in our office and go through heavy old dusty books and look at that.
We caught up with Historic Lyric Theater Executive Director Christian Adair to talk about the rich cultural heritage of the iconic East End venue and its many contributions to the historic fabric of Lexington.
My name is Christian Adair, the Executive Director of the Lyric Theater and Cultural Arts Center. I was at one time the chair of the board here, and we had to change over in leadership. And so for a little less than a year, I've been leading this awesome opportunity. During segregation, it was a place where only black people could go to watch movies, to watch entertainment, and to be entertainers. This is where it was a safe place. We're part of the Chitlin Circuit, so when acts came down south from the north or so forth, they knew the places they can go to that were safe. And so this is the place that they all went to. If you were famous and you were influencing America, which a lot of the music influences music today, this was where they came. And so once integration occurred, this building closed. And we started going to other movie places. But for almost 50 years, for 48 years, this building sat here dilapidated, boarded up. The black community, the East End community, the historic East End community where horse racing began, people had to walk by this building every day, and it hurt our souls. It was a place that you were sad that you couldn't go there any longer because there's nothing going on in there. And it represented a downtrodden community. And when it reopened in 2010, it reopened for everyone. Even though the black community demanded it to be open, even though they wanted this building to be reestablished, they wanted it and they fought for it. And people joined together and it reopened, and now we have the most diversity, the most inclusion, the events that represent everyone here in Lexington and Kentucky. And now we are a huge pot of stew when we have events, you know. And so it's important that everyone is celebrating each other, at least recognizing each other. We all want to be heard. We all want to be recognized. We all want to be, given our due. So this is a place for that. So our events here, our programming here, we are a nonprofit, and we have to raise money, and we have to raise money to be able to do these free programming. So the jazz, blues, and soul series is free. The gospel event is free. So a lot of times we have to engage with council members and so forth, but on behalf of the city, we work with LFUCG very closely. We're an extension of the city, however, we do have to raise money, and so it's important that people know that these events are free most of the time, but we still ask for donations, we ask for contributions, we have grants, if you know, that we are always looking for opportunity, because every time we get any kind of money, we find a way to give it back to the community. We are a museum, we are an art gallery, we are a community engagement space, and we're a historic theater auditorium with a stage that's amazing. And we want people to come here and utilize this space But we do need people's assistance, we do need people's help, and we want to continue to do that. So the facility is amazing. The city keeps this facility amazing, and we have a place that I think is a hidden gem still. I don't think everyone should know. We have 330,000 people in here in Lexington. I think everyone should know this place at least exists. And if they want to engage another culture, if they want to share their talent, if they want to come out and enjoy an evening, because entertainment is universal. Dancing, laughing, hugging. Last night during our, and I will go into it, last night we had an intermission, and at that moment it was like everyone was asked to go meet somebody you don't know, engage in a conversation you don't know, because unless the platform is given, most people stand back and they don't engage people. And so last night when people left, they were hugging and smiling, and they made new friends, or at least new acquaintances, and that's what we're about here. So when you leave here, you're going to be smiling and enjoying, or at least more educated. And so I want everybody to know that we need support from the community to do those things. We have an amazing website. So it has many layers on our website. It's historiclyrictheater.com, but we just finished it. And so it's our brand new website. It's also how you, if you want to rent, if you want to find out what we're doing, if you want to get some history, if you want to listen to the podcast, if you want to listen to oral history, it's all on there. If you want to see art, it's a pretty in-depth website, and that's how you would contact us, or come down here between 10 and 5. Monday through Friday, we're open, so you can walk through the facility and come see the art that's on display, or learn something in our African American Museum / library.
How to keep your pets healthy and safe this winter, after this.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Chris Van Brackle with the Lexington Police Department Traffic Unit. Today we are talking about disability accessible parking and the aisles between those parking places. Accessible parking is a valuable and necessary resource for people with disabilities, and that includes the striped area next to accessible parking spots. These are access aisles, and it is illegal to park here, even if you have an accessible parking permit. Police and Lex Park will write tickets when they see vehicles parked in an access aisle or parked in an accessible space without a placard, and the fine is $250. Know where and where not to park. Keep the access aisles clear. Thank you, and drive safe.
Welcome back to Lexington Now. Kentucky's famously fickle winter weather can be hard not only on humans, but also on pets, especially on those that spend a lot of time outdoors. Here are some tips to help keep them healthy and happy this winter.
I'm Megan Hawkins, Director of Community Engagement for the Lexington Humane Society. There's always lots of tips and advice that we want to share during cold weather season. So first and foremost, limit their time outdoors. You know, we like to encourage people, if you're cold, they're cold. So think of that. When you're taking them outside for walks or playtime, be aware of the time and the limit of how long they're staying out there. They can get cold quicker than you realize. And just like we put on layers, feel free to put on layers on your dogs or cats if you're taking them outside. The jackets, the sweaters, even shoes for their little feet. When they come inside, make sure you dry them off so that they're dry and warm. There's nothing residual. If you use any sort of treatment for your sidewalks or driveways, make sure it's pet friendly, you know, salt and ice melt. And when they do come inside, once again, wipe that off of their paws. And this is a big if your pet must stay outdoors for an extended period of time, make sure that they have proper shelter. Don't use blankets, use straw. Straw doesn't freeze when it gets wet, so it's safer for dogs or cats. Make sure they have proper hydration, food and water bowls, plastic bowls so those don't freeze as well. And just check on them often, that's what we ask. If they have to be outdoors, please check on them often. But of course, we want them to be indoors with us because they are members of the family. And then making sure that your pets have proper identification. And that's the same thing year round, not just cold weather, but if they were to get loose or run away from you, if they're microchipped, if they have a collar and tags, it will be easier to reconnect you with your pet if they were to get lost. We definitely discourage people giving pets as gifts. You can make that part of the giving process. Maybe go ahead and pay the adoption fee and present the person with a gift certificate so that then the recipient can go to the shelter and pick out a dog or a cat. Or make the actual visit to the shelter part of the gift and go with them. Again, the person receiving the pet needs to be the one making the decision. It's a big commitment. It needs to be their decision to add the dog or cat to their family or to their household. We can always use donations, and those donations are pretty much dog food, cat food, treats, and paper towels. People don't realize the amount of paper towels that we go through here. We just have such a huge intake. A lot of animals are currently in our care. It takes a lot to feed them. We're limited on space, so we can't store it in advance, so it's not like we can go to the store and buy it on sale. We do have to plan ahead and buy it on a weekly basis, but it's very nice if people are able to donate actual bags of dog or cat food to us. It also helps. We have a pet food pantry and assistance program for people who aren't able to buy or purchase food for their own pets, but they want to keep them in their household. If we have any extra bags on hand, we're able to provide them with that. So it helps if people donate, and we can have that service as well as feed our current dogs and cats. We try to make it as easy as possible for people to donate. They can come to any of our locations, Old Frankfort Pike, PetSmart in Hamburg, and just drop off the donations. You don't even have to walk in the building. You can just leave them at the door, but you're welcome to walk in and see the adorable dogs and cats. And if you do want to give monetary donations, you can give online, you can give on social, you can mail us in a check, or you can come visit and drop off. I think it's important to stress not only that people take care of their own pets during the cold weather months, but just be aware and have your eyes and ears open for other pets in the community. If you see someone that's chained up, a dog or cat chained up outside without proper shelter or food or water, or you see one on the loose, then just call our partner organization, Lexington Fayette Animal Care and Control, and that way they can take them in, provide them warmth, provide them care, and take care of them. Being a nonprofit, we rely so heavily on volunteers and foster parents to help us out, and we love and appreciate our volunteers and foster parents so much. I mentioned earlier that we have such a huge need for actual food. Our food budget is tripled, just this past month, triple what we projected, and that's a big cost, and people don't realize. We have a lot of big dogs, and a lot of big dogs are staying with us for a while, so that's big bellies and big mouths to feed. People can donate online, on the website, on social, on Venmo. Like I said, there's very easy, simple ways to donate to us, and that will just give us the money to having our budget to continue purchasing food for the dogs and cats. There's lots of ways for people to get involved, and if you can't adopt, then you can volunteer, you can foster, you can donate, you can stop by and check out a dog for the day and take it for a car ride, take it for a walk. There's lots of ways to give back without thinking that you actually have to add a pet to your household or even reach into your wallet.
When hypothermia and frostbite come to mind, most people think of extreme cold, but it doesn't take as much to enter the danger zone as you might think. Here are some tips to keep safe. Like it or not, winter is upon us, and it often brings hazards like snow and ice. But there is another danger that is not as frequently addressed, and that is the cold. During especially cold weather, it is best to stay indoors. But if you must venture out, here are some guidelines you should follow to stay safe. Dress warmly in layered clothing, including a hat, a scarf, or knit mask to cover your face and mouth, sleeves that are snug at the wrist, mittens, a water-resistant coat, and water-resistant boots. Avoid exertion, as cold weather puts an extra strain on the heart. Those with heart disease or high blood pressure should follow their doctor's advice about shoveling snow or performing other activities in the cold. When outside, avoid walking on ice and keep your steps and walkways as free of snow and ice as possible. Be on the lookout for signs of hypothermia and frostbite, two common cold weather-related health problems. Warning signs of hypothermia, which is an abnormally low body temperature, include shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. If you detect symptoms of hypothermia, seek medical care immediately. Get the victim into a warm room and remove any wet clothing. Warm the center of the body first with an electric blanket if available. Otherwise, use skin-to-skin contact under loose, dry layers of blankets, clothes, towels, or sheets. Warm beverages can help increase the body temperature, but do not use alcoholic beverages. Warning signs of frostbite or an injury to the body caused by freezing include redness or pain in any skin area, white or grayish-yellow skin, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy, and numbness. If you detect symptoms of frostbite, seek medical care immediately. Get the victim into a warm room and immerse the affected area in warm, not hot, water. Do not rub the frostbitten area with snow or massage it, as this can cause more damage. Do not use a heating pad, heat lamp, or the heat of a stove, fireplace, or radiator for warming, as the frostbitten areas are numb and can be easily burned. These procedures are not substitutes for medical care, and all emergencies should be reported to a physician or healthcare provider. If you follow these simple rules and exercise caution, you can weather the worst winter has to offer and come out healthy on the other side when the warm breezes of spring start to blow. Even with a holiday-shortened schedule this week at City Hall, there are still several live meetings coming your way on Lex TV and streaming on our website. And remember, you can find all the most accurate and up-to-date information on all city business at lexingtonky.gov. Here's this week's meeting coverage. That's all for now. As always, you can keep up with us on social media. Check out the latest traffic updates on X at LexRex or catch our live traffic cams on lexingtonky.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it.